been waiting for a while for this data to come out, and it finally did get released. I believe, if not yesterday, it was earlier in the week. I don't remember the exact day. I know I saw it yesterday for the first time, but.
Yeah, I think it came out in, I want to say the second or third week in November, and then it kind of slowly got kind of pressed out. There was some other insights that came out at the same time, but yeah, now it's all out, and it's, there's some new things in it, new things that they've never tracked before that I think will be interesting to people who battle addiction or family members or professionals, as we'll talk. But yeah, it's a big deal, and it definitely helps to see, okay, where are our problem areas?
And also where have places we've improved too, which we'll get to later on in the show, because there are some areas where I think as a society as a whole, we have improved. But quick kind of Reader's Digest, Cliff Notes, just greatest hits, if you will, as far as some of the big key points that were released in this, like I said, in this study. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans ages 12 and older reported having a substance use disorder in the past year. Roughly 1 in 4 adults reported having a mental illness. That comes out to roughly 59.3 million American adults. 5% of adults had serious suicidal thoughts. 1.5% made a suicide plan. And unfortunately, 0.6% actually took that step to attempting suicide. Currently, more than 48 million Americans struggling with substance use disorders, which comes out to roughly 3 out of every 4. Out of those 48 million Americans that are struggling are not getting the treatment that they need. And that comes out to roughly 3 out of every 4 people that are struggling or not getting the help that they need. About 60% of adolescents and adults 12 and older used alcohol, tobacco, an illicit drug, or vaped nicotine in the year 2024. Among adolescents, 7.3% of those ages 12 to 17 used tobacco or vaped nicotine in the past month. Once again, in 2022, 48.7 million adolescents and adults reported a substance use disorder in the past 12 months, including 29.5 million with alcohol use disorder, 27.2 million with a drug use disorder, and then 8 million suffered from both. And then the final one here before I'll get your thoughts on all this, Chris. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out quickly. Of the 8.9 million people who misused opioids in the past year, almost all of them misused prescription painkillers, which obviously we kind of saw that one coming. 1 million misused heroin, and then you had 991,000 people misused either prescription fentanyl or illicit, illegally made fentanyl. So there is one statistic I'm saving because I want to touch on that on the back end of things here. But first, Chris, just kind of your thoughts on some of those numbers that I threw out from that initial kind of batch of information that we got.
Well, I think it's first off, it's kind of scary, right? I mean, like, because there's a side of this that is very, very serious in terms of what we did see. When we look at the increases, there were some increases on a year-to-year basis in some of the, I believe on the alcohol side, we saw some increases from 2021 to 2022. What really stood out to me, though, the most, and I think kind of is going to pair into what we're talking about in some ways. We're seeing a lot of issues with, of course, fentanyl. And the other issue that we're seeing with the fentanyl is on the reporting side, which is that the fentanyl, so when we look at the responses that they have here, there were 71,369 respondents online and in person. And the part that is a little bit iffy right now is respondents were asked about the illegally made fentanyl after they had already answered the question about substance use disorder. So there is a potential that people who had marked later on that they had used illegally made fentanyl were not applied that. So there could be a higher number who have substance use disorder than we realize.